This one hurts. What's up, Broncos country? My name is Brandon Gilchrist, and here we are. The 2025 season for our Denver Broncos has come to an end. While it was a surprise ascension at the time, for us to not be celebrating a trip to a Super Bowl in 2025 is extremely disappointing because, frankly, I think the Broncos had it. Before we dive into the game, I do want to talk about just the atmosphere and what the Broncos did leading up to the game. I haven't really talked about it much this year, but I actually don't live in Denver, Colorado. When I can, I travel in to go watch the games. With what our Broncos accomplished this year, I wasn't going to miss the AFC Championship game, and I made my way to Denver. A day earlier than I usually do because of the winter weather. It gave me an opportunity to actually attend the fan rally that the Broncos held prior to the AFC Championship game. Being able to go into Lombardi Square, interact with other Broncos fans, be a part of the rally was a memory that I will cherish. Walking in, they gave out fan rally towels and 2025 playoff buttons. They brought the tunnel setup that they use at Mile High and allowed fans to run through the tunnel, experience what it's like to come out of that tunnel to cheering fans. You had DJ Squizzy Taylor, who's at the stadium each and every Sunday playing music. The cheerleaders were there, and fans had an opportunity to take photos. One of the things I was particularly excited about was the fact that the Broncos' 3 Super Bowl trophies were also there, and you had an opportunity to take pictures with those as well. This was an awesome opportunity to be able to see the Lombardi up close and personal. You also had Miles and some of Broncos alumni getting fans pumped up and excited for the game. All in all, it was a great experience, and as freezing cold as it was, I'm glad that I went, spent some time there before settling in for the night to get ready for the game the next day. In terms of the pregame, we had our usual festivities. Only skydiving team in the NFL, jumping on a cloudy day, an amazing national anthem with helicopters performing the flyover in this one. It gives me chills and gets me excited for the game every single time. And then we had kickoff. We had the South Stands getting everybody riled up right before kickoff. All in all, for our Broncos, I have the hardest time with losses when the Broncos have complete control in all 3 phases, but still somehow end up losing the game because of their own costly mistakes. Not because the team beat them, but because they lose it. Stidham was efficient passing early. The Broncos controlled time of possession in the first half. The defense basically shut down the Patriots. They matched the sack total that Drake May has had in each of his 2 playoff appearances with 5. With the exception of the flea flicker in the third quarter, Drake May's legs were really the only offense that the Patriots could muster. And it was enough. In terms of special teams, the Broncos completely contained their playmakers. Kick and punt coverage did its job. Also ensured 2 missed field goals for the Patriots. At the end of the day, the Broncos didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were right there in front of them, including starting several drives in very favorable field position, but being unable to move the ball or convert for a score. I mean no disrespect with this statement, but the Broncos set themselves up perfectly to make a Super Bowl this season, and they blew it. It is so hard to be set up this well, winning the division, achieving the number 1 seed, having home field advantage, and ultimately facing an opponent that you have confidence that you can beat. And with how this game unfolded, it's only natural to think what would have happened if Bo Nix played in this game. But we'll never know. Make no mistake, I'm confident with Bo behind center that this team is going to be in the mix every single year. But it's hard to believe that they're going to have a better opportunity than the one that they had in 2025. Congratulations to the Patriots. It's been an amazing turnaround for that franchise, and they absolutely made the right hire in bringing Mike Vrabel back. They made sure to minimize their mistakes and not put themselves in position to lose the game, but allow a probably overconfident Sean Payton to be overly aggressive and in some ways outsmart himself in this one. When we look at some key moments of the game, there aren't a ton, especially once we get to the second half with basically a snowstorm blowing in, and frankly it was kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. Being out there was a blast with all the fans and the snow rolling in and more of it growing. A 51-yard reception by Marvin Mims, which set up a quick touchdown to Courtland Sutton in the corner of the end zone. A near interception of Drake May in the Patriots' first drive of the game. Once again, Talanoa Hufanga had his hands on a ball but couldn't corral it in. Frankly, that interception happens and this game is over. One that's going to continue to be talked about, but to me is just one of the reasons the Broncos lost. A missed 4th and 1 opportunity. At that moment in time in the stadium, including talking to a bunch of fans that were right next to me, we were all okay with us going for it on that 4th and 1. Problem came in with the play call that happened, and the Broncos ultimately going for a pass instead of running the ball when you only needed to pick up 1 yard. You follow that up with a really big turnover that set a Patriots team up that hadn't been moving the ball at all up until this point for an easy score for 7 points to match the Broncos. It was tough that this was originally ruled intentional grounding and for the refs to overturn the call, but ultimately, Stiddy's got to get rid of the ball in that situation. Then we had a missed 54-yard field goal from Will Lutz, followed by a missed 63-yard field goal from Borregales of the Pats. Then we get to the second half, and this is when the snow starts rolling in. A flea flicker and a 10-minute drive later, the Broncos defense ultimately holds the Pats to 3, but little known to us, those were the last points of the game scored. We then have a missed 46-yard field goal by Borregales, followed by punt fest back and forth, and ultimately a blocked field goal on Will Lutz that came right after a botched punt by Behringer of the Pats, setting the Broncos up in great field position. And then finally, a long 3rd down conversion on a quarterback rollout run by Drake May that converted to seal the win for the Pats. When we look at the Broncos defense, the Patriots were basically shut down all day. Drake May really couldn't do anything, and the only success for the Patriots offense came with his legs. And they basically took the ball out of his hands in the second half. He went 10 for 21 for 86 yards. 86! In our plan for all 11, we wanted to take away his whoobies, Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry, and the Broncos did. Stephon Diggs was held to 17 yards. Hunter Henry was held to 2 yards. Mac Hollins made the biggest contributions here with 52 yards, about half of that coming on one singular play, that flea flicker. The Patriots offense was held to 206 total yards. With the exception of May, their rushers were held to 76 yards and a 2.7 yard average. They were 6 of 18 on 3rd down, 5 sacks, and 3 passes defensed. And then once again, just as we saw with the Bills, and the QB was able to scramble to keep his team on the field or convert first downs, or in one instance, score a touchdown. The only other thing that was missing from the Broncos defense was a turnover. And part of the reason this didn't happen was because the Patriots went extremely conservative once the snow really started coming down. The Broncos offense also went stagnant basically after that first quarter. The weather ultimately really messed things up for both teams. We saw Pat Bryant go out of the game once again, and it really didn't seem like receivers were getting open, coupled with the fact that there were several key drops again for this team. With Jarrett Stidham making his first start in 2 years, the offensive line also didn't do a great job protecting him, and he experienced pressure nonstop. Unfortunately, this was not one of Quinn Miner's better days. You could really tell that Bo Nix's mobility covers up a lot of issues when it comes to protection. The Broncos offense was held to 181 total yards. They were 4 for 14 on 3rd down. Jarrett Stidham did everything he could in a really tough situation, but he had 2 tough turnovers in this one. One setting up the Patriots' only touchdown in this game, the other stopping a drive to try to tie up this game. Because of the pressure he was experiencing, he threw early several times, which really only emphasized the lack of chemistry between he and the receivers. Our run game also didn't help him at all. And once again, with Bo Nix being our leading rusher for several of the games since Dobbins went out, this was magnified once again. 79 total yards on the ground. Then we get to special teams, and Will Lutz had a tough day, going 0 for 2 on field goals, missing wide on his first attempt, and then on his second attempt in the middle of the snow, having his kick blocked. It was interesting to me, as he was setting up for the field goal, none of the players on the field were making sure that the area where he was kicking was clean, which I've seen plenty of teams do when setting up in snowy conditions. I'm curious why the Broncos weren't doing that. Either way, it does leave me with questions of how well Will Lutz performs when conditions aren't perfect. Jeremy Crawshaw made up for his performance in cold weather against the Raiders earlier in the season and punted really well. He punted 6 times, 3 of them being downed inside the 20. He ended up with a 51.5 yard average. Punt and kick coverage also did really well, containing both of their explosive returners in this one. When it comes to weekly salutes, there's really only one that I want to give away in this one, and that's to Jarrett Stidham. He stepped into an impossible situation, and he really did all that he could to try to help the offense be successful. It's unfortunate the team couldn't get the job done, but in the end, I want to salute Jarrett Stidham for stepping in a tough situation and giving it his all. Look, y'all, this is a tough one to take, and I can't help but feel like Bo Nix covered up a lot of what is missing in this offense this year. And it becomes crystal clear how much his contributions were willing this team to the 14 wins that we experienced this year. I've been saying it all year that he wasn't getting the credit he deserves, and I think it became abundantly clear in this one. There's a lot to think about with the season coming to an end, and I'll dive deeper into those thoughts in another video. I'm proud of how this team came together and fought in 2025. I'm excited about the future. The Broncos are relevant again, and that's a good thing. I've been saying enjoy the journey, and that's exactly what I did with the 2025 season. What are your thoughts with this game and how the Broncos played? Let me know in the comments. As always, be kind. Talk to you soon, Broncos country.